the ninth. Now, it's been a few days since I have been on YouTube Live. In fact, it's been a few days since I was, of course, on any social media. I was away at my cabin enjoying just a few days of R&R. You know what I've discovered? When you get away and you stay off of social media, all of a sudden perspective comes back. It's okay to rest. It's okay to take time for yourself. And I encourage you to do that from time to time. You see, life can be so busy, so active. This summer, for example, it's been basically, we've had one member of our family with us basically all summer. It was our son, then it was our granddaughters, and, our grandchildren. It's been absolutely wonderful. We've enjoyed every single moment with them. But it's okay from time to time to get away. And that's what my wife and I did. We got away. We have a cabin that's about 2 hours away. And so we drove into the city, did our business in the city, and then we drove out to our cabin. And basically, we just rested for 2 or 3 days, enjoyed a little bit of R&R, and that is what you need to do from time to time. So what's my advice for you today besides take a little bit of R&R? Well, I want to remind you that from time to time, you're going to meet people who are going to spew out something really hurtful. So what do you do when that happens? How do you react when someone deliberately or, doesn't does something hurtful to you? Well, you kind of have a choice. You can pick it up, you can hold it and rub it into your heart. And that's really unfortunate when people do that. When people, hurt you, and instead of not picking it up, you take it and you start rubbing it into your heart. You start thinking about the situation. Let me give you today the progression of thoughts, okay? Let's say someone says something to you and hurts you. It could be something they said or something they did. The first thing you always do is you think to yourself, why did they do it? That becomes a thought. But then what happens is you start dwelling on it and you start, of course, thinking about it. It's the most natural progression. Why? Because you've been hurt and it becomes a strong thought. All of a sudden, it becomes the focus of what you are doing. Then what happens next is it becomes an imagination. You begin to justify your reaction. You begin to overthink. You begin to analyze it. And then that thing, it may be hurtful, but that molehill, that thing that you should not pick up, you begin to nurse it. You begin to rehearse what you should have said and what you should have done. And then what happens, you begin to justify your reaction and also how you are going to handle that situation. Now, when it becomes an imagination, what you should do is not pick it up. You should just release it. But that's often not what happens. And then what happens after that, it becomes a stronghold. That's right. It becomes a stronghold. And before you know it, you are putting it in your heart. You are nursing it. You are rehearsing what you should have done. And instead of releasing it and letting it go, guess what? It becomes a root of bitterness. That's right. It becomes a hurtful thing, and you begin to walk in unforgiveness. And you build a barrier up, and you say things like this: I am not going to allow that person to hurt me again. I am not going to be hurt again. I've heard people say that. Well, I'm not going to be hurt again. And so what happens is they become suspicious. They become, introverted. They react before even something happens. And it colorizes everything you say and do. That's why when someone hurts you, when someone says something, the first reaction should be, I am not going to dwell on this thing any longer. And in fact, I am going to do instantaneous forgiveness. You see, when we pick something up and rub it and put it into our hearts and snuggle with it and carry it along for a long time, it ultimately destroys us. And this is an interesting thought. 9 times out of 10, people who hurt you don't even know they've done it. When they're confronted with it, they say, hey, I am really, really sorry. That's 9 times out of 10. Now, I know that there are narcissistic, selfish people out there, people who are self absorbed and don't think twice about hurting someone. I know there are people out there, but they are not the majority. They are the minority. Now, I know that they're there. And you and I, if I were to, put it out a name, you probably know who they are. Or also, as well, you know people like that. They are in your sphere of influence. They may be a coworker. They may be a parent. They may be a family member. Those type of people exist. But 9 times out of 10, 9 people out of 10 would be absolutely appalled when they hear that they hurt you, because most people have a kinder disposition. And those are the type of people that you want in your sphere of influence. But when you are hurt, when something really bad happens, don't pick it up. Don't hold on to it. Don't rub it in your heart. Snuggle with it and carry it along for a long time. You know why? Because it will ultimately destroy you. It will make you bitter, not better. It will cause you to become a person that you never thought you were going to become. That's why you need to choose instantaneous forgiveness. That's why you need to not even put energy into it and kick it to the curb, because ultimately the victim is you. So when you practice forgiveness, you actually, don't become a victim, you become a victor. When you choose to walk in forgiveness and love and acceptance, you know what happens? You overcome whatever it is that was done to you, because you don't sit there and dwell on it. You don't put energy into it. You don't try to excuse them. You just simply say, you know what? I am not going to allow that poison to come into my life. I choose the path of forgiveness. I choose the path of grace. You are not going to turn me into a defeated person. I am going to be undefeated. I'm not going to be conquered by this thing. In fact, I'm going to become more than a conqueror, because I choose the path of forgiveness. Now, I want to tell you something. It's not easy to do, okay? It's really not. You have to work it through. I understand that. It's okay to be hurt, but it's not okay to stay hurt. That's why I'm encouraging you to not even put energy into it. Kick it to the curb. You got to see what it is and step over it and go around it. But the most important thing is keep going. You know what? You and I need to recognize that life can be a long process. It's a journey, and there are good sights and bad sights on this journey. You know, I've had the privilege of living in Alberta, and I grew up in southern Alberta. I basically spent most of my youth and, my teenagehood in Waterton National Park, in Banff National Park, and the beautiful Rocky Mountains of the Kananaskis. They are some of the most beautiful spots in the absolute world, and I know what beauty is, but I've also been spending time on the prairies. And when you are in the prairies, you basically are looking at the big sky, but it's flat. I love the opening of a Canadian comedy called, of course, Corner Gas. And this guy pulls up into the gas station and he says, "Boy, it's flat around here." And then all of a sudden, the gas station attendant says, "Really? What about the mountains in the background? And look at the beautiful lakes." And all of a sudden, they look around and say, "It is pretty flat around here." I want to tell you something. Simply this, you can be in a beautiful landscape, or it can be as flat as a tabletop. Either way, you can find beauty, but also as well, you can find the ugliness as well. It just depends on what you're looking for and what you are looking at. When someone hurts you, spews out something hurtful in a conversation, you've got in that moment, you have to decide what you're going to do with it. You can accept it, you can make it part of your identity, you can stew on it and make that mountain or molehill into a mountain, or you can just simply let it go. Remember that song from that movie, Frozen? Let it go, let it go. I remember when my granddaughter, who's now 15, her name is Gabriella, but when that movie came out, she was just a little girl. And my daughter had bought a special, karaoke machine. And they had a video, and I remember sitting in their front room, and my granddaughter said, "Let me show you something, Grandpa." And she turned on the video and the karaoke machine and began to sing, "Let it go, let it go." And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, that's right. Let it go. When something hurtful, when something bad happens to you, don't pick it up. Don't hold it in your heart. Don't rub it and say, "Oh, woe is me," and snuggle with it and carry it along for a long time. Don't even put any energy. Kick it to the curb. You got to see it and step over it and go around it. Whatever it takes, just keep going. Walk in love. Walk in acceptance. Walk in forgiveness. And don't let selfish people, don't allow narcissistic people turn it around and make it your fault, because it isn't. They are the ones that hurt you, but you are not choosing to hurt them in return. Jesus said simply this, and many people call it the golden rule: do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. That means treat people the way that you would want to be treated, and don't sink to their level. Remember, you and I make choices every day. Every day we're facing difficult situations with people. I want to tell you something. Jordan Peterson put this way. He says, if there's something important that needs to be discussed, the chance of not being offended is absolutely zero. And you and I have to make a decision. And that decision is, no matter how you treat me, I am going to treat you the way that I would want to be treated. You know what that's called? That's called integrity. That's called transparency. That's called honesty. That is called, of course, being a person of substance. And I encourage you to be a person of substance, to be a person who stands by your convictions and also has boundaries. but most important, walks in forgiveness and doesn't allow the actions and activities of other people to drop you down to their level. You're not that person. That's my encouragement for you today. Let me pray for you. Father, people get hurt. I understand that. But I pray today that instead of being offended, they'll release it. Instead of being bitter, they will be better. That they won't pick it up and rub it and put it in their hearts and snuggle with it and carry around for a long time because ultimately it destroys them. Let them kick it to the curb. Say, I'm not putting any energy into this. I'm going to see it as it is. I'm going to step around it. I'm going to go around it. And I'm going to keep going. That's my prayer for them today. Well, my name is Robert Dean Steele. I want to remind you today that if you like what you're seeing and hearing, always press the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I want to thank all the people who have subscribed to my YouTube channel. I am so grateful to every single one of you. And I also want to encourage you to check out my YouTube shorts. Now, I did take a few days off, had a little holiday, but I'm back doing my YouTube shorts. Check those out. They're put on every day. They're usually less than 1 minute long, but they are encouragement. They are little vignettes, little snapshots that hopefully will encourage you and inspire you and make your day. My name is Robert Dean Steele. Thank you for joining me. Have yourself a great and godly day. And remember, when someone does something offensive to you, you have a decision to make. Make the right decision. As the knight from, that Indiana Jones, he says, choose wisely. So choose wisely.